Hey, welcome to the Cohn phone. I'm Grant Cohn. I'll be taking your calls for about the next hour or so. The call-in link is in the chat box and also in the description. I already have Lil Niner, Korean Niner, and Joe in the queue. I'll get to you guys in a minute. There's a couple of things I want to talk about first to sort of guide the conversation. First thing, Steve Young went on local radio here, Niners flagship, KMBR, and said that he expects Jimmy Garoppolo to request his release as soon as he can pass a physical. I find this news. I mean, it could be as simple as this is what Steve Young would do in Jimmy's position, or it could be he's heard something and he's phrasing this as his opinion, his advice. I think it's interesting. He's so connected. I couldn't imagine that he hasn't heard something. I've sort of heard these rumblings that Jimmy Garoppolo might ask for his release. That's interesting. I mean, does that mean that he's acknowledging that he has no trade value? Like, I thought that everyone was sort of maintaining that once he passes a physical, there's going to be a team waiting to trade for him. Isn't that what people have been trying to say? Or I guess not. And I guess this is sort of like the get out of jail free card. If the Niners are trying to figure out how do they cut Jimmy Garoppolo after saying they won't, well, he could request his release. So I guess that's could be how this ends up going. But if the Niners, what if they say no? What if they're like, nah, man, we need you as our backup quarterback this year. Sorry. We're going to pay you $27 million to be our backup. Deal with it. What happens then? I don't know. Do the Niners, I mean, they've said so many times that they refuse to cut him for nothing. Just because he asks for it, they're going to be like, thank you for asking. Anyway, I think it's interesting. That's what Steve Young expects. He expects Jimmy Garoppolo to request his release as soon as he can pass a physical, which when is that going to be? He's been throwing for 3 weeks now, but he can't pass a physical. Man, how long is this going to drag on? Is this really going to drag into the season like Dan Sileo said? Is he going to be right about everything? I'd like to hear your take. Second thing, Deebo Samuel. I think Deebo Samuel is the MVP of this team. I think he's one of the most valuable players in the league. That being said, I also think that he has an issue with, let's call it, he's got an injury issue. He's had a history of lower body injuries. And I think his off-season work habits might be a little questionable. The reason I say that is 2 years ago, he, from what I understand, reported to the team 15 pounds overweight, which led to a chain reaction of injuries, broken foot, pulled hamstring. It was just a really bad year, and the Niners questioned his off-season work habits, essentially his maturity and professionalism, and I think they were thinking, let's just get one good season out of Deebo and then trade him. They got more than a good season. They got a phenomenal season, an all-time great season. And now they're left wondering what to do. Maybe they already know what to do. I mean, what did they tell Deebo at that dinner between Kyle Shanahan, John Lynch, and Deebo that led to Deebo, requesting a trade, taking down his pictures? It's possible the Niners were like, look, Deebo, we have some questions about your offseason work habits. We have some questions about your injury history. We have some questions about your drops. You drop the ball more than any other elite wide receiver. We have some questions about your route running. Frankly, the way we use you is more like a running back. So if you want the big extension now, it's going to be team friendly. If you're that desperate for a 4-year, 5-year contract to validate you and give you a signing bonus, it's going to be team friendly. I'll tell you that right now. If you want the bag that Tyreek Hill got or even more, bet on yourself and play out this rookie deal, and we'll talk next year. Because frankly, that might be the prudent play here. I like Deebo Samuel a lot, but I don't know what happened in 2020, and I can't promise that won't happen again. I can't promise that 2021 version of Deebo is the one you're going to always get. And maybe he's the kind of guy who I think he's a supreme competitor, but is he like a team guy or is he like a supreme competitor to get that bag? Maybe you always want him in pursuit of the bag. Maybe once he gets the bag, he won't necessarily compete the way he did this year. I don't know. I mean, it seems like he's a little bit more concerned about individual stuff than team stuff. I don't know. All I'm saying is there's no reason not to take it slow. Let him play out the rookie contract. If he does great, franchise tag him. That's still cheaper than whatever you're going to do this year. And you could franchise tag him multiple years in a row. You can go year to year with Deebo Samuel since you use him like a running back anyway, and you don't know about his longevity, and it'll keep him motivated, and he'll get a lot of money, and it'll protect the team. The Niners don't do this. They always get 1 or 2 good years from a player and they reward them with a big contract, and it doesn't necessarily work out. Seems like a lot of these homegrown players on the Niners played better before they got the big deal than after. So maybe the Niners should rethink how important it is for them to just keep everyone happy. Maybe motivated is better. Okay, that's my spiel. Let's take some calls. The first call is from Lil Niner. How you doing, Lil Niner? It is a pleasure to meet you. How are you?
I am very well. I am the 49er fanatic, and I'm here because you are my favorite content provider.
Thank you. What's on your mind today?
I'm even nicknamed myself Cohn.
What?
Okay. My first question is because I've been a Niner fan since '78.
Okay.
That's a long time. I'm not naming my age of myself. But what I want to know is about Jason Poe. How do you feel about him? I want him on the line.
I like him. I'll keep it brief, but what I like about him is he seems like an offensive lineman project who's a D lineman. Like he's got the D line athleticism. And I think more defensive linemen in college who aren't pass rushers should switch to O-line and stop being a 2-down run stuffer and go get that money on the offensive line. Because I feel like there's not enough athleticism in the offensive line in the NFL, and he's got it. Trent Williams was super impressed with his first step quickness. So that's a good question, Lil Niner.
Right. Could you imagine Kinlaw and Poe on the right side of that line?
That's what I'm saying. To me, Kinlaw is so much better as an offensive lineman than a defensive lineman, but that's not my choice.
But let's say you go sit down somewhere, let Kinlaw take that, and Poe next to him. We'd have a line that would just be
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I like your hat, by the way.
I like your jacket. An Iggy jacket, I love it.
Thanks.
QC. Can I be your assistant?
Absolutely.
I like you, Grant. Okay, my second question, because I know it's got to be quick. So I thought about this. Jimmy Garoppolo. I used to think he was unstoppable. No longer. I'm a Trey area fanatic now. And what I want to ask you is, do you believe Trey is going to get that mental stuff together like he needs to?
The mental stuff?
Quick slants, outs and all that.
Yeah, I think so. I think people are a little too nervous about Trey Lance. I don't know why. Maybe it's because he went to a small school or something, but from everything I've seen from him in practice, he's the best practice quarterback I've ever seen on the 49ers. I don't know if that's going to translate, but he's better in practice than Alex Smith, Colin Kaepernick, Jimmy Garoppolo, Nick Mullins. He's really sharp. He completes a high percentage of his passes. He doesn't turn the ball over in practice. I don't know. Let's see if it translates. I think it will.
I think so too. I think that we're going to surprise a lot of people. Everybody's talking about the Niners are middle of the pack. I disagree terribly.
Tell him.
I think that Trey is going to blow the league away, and we get the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 Niners. We'll be back in the Super Bowl in the next couple of years.
I love it. Thank you very much for calling in and starting the show off right. That was phenomenal.
Thank you, Grant.
Thank you.
Oh, no, it's out, baby.
Woo! Man, that guy came straight from Sesame Street. As I heard, he was hanging out with Big Bird. He was hanging out with the Count, all of them. But he was the roughest one on Sesame. They kicked him out of Sesame Street because he was too tough, is what they said. Korean Niner, what's up?
That's a heck of an act to follow, man. I don't know how to do
man.
it.
But if anyone can do it, it's you.
Couple questions for you.
Sure.
To me, this whole Jimmy thing is now, it's like a 12-act play that should have been 3 acts shorter. But
yeah, it's like one of those HBO shows that's on season 10. It's like, wait a second. This was done after the second season. How are we stretching this out? Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. To me, when you remember, you and I talked about this before, when Bill Belichick traded Drew Bledsoe to the Bills, do you think Bill cared about Drew's feelings?
No.
Do you think Bill cared about Jimmy's feelings when he traded him to the 49ers?
But there's a difference. Hold on. Like when the Patriots traded Bledsoe away, they had already won a Super Bowl with Tom Brady. So I mean, they didn't have to take a leap of faith with Brady. The Niners are just clearly scared to take a leap of faith. And I feel like that's why I made a wager with my dad that Jimmy's going to be on this team week 1, because I don't think they're that brave.
Yeah.
It's not a reflection of Trey. It's a reflection of them. It's them. They're not that brave when it comes to their job security. Well, their jobs, you know what I mean? It's like I say start Trey, but it's not my job. And there's that 20% chance where he's not no good and they lose and Jimmy's in Seattle winning where everyone gets fired. And I think that probably keeps him up at night. Not my job.
Yeah. So here's the second question. When it comes to trades, to me, John Lynch is already 0 for 2 in trades if we already look at it. Well, at least the second one is tentative.
The big ones.
Could go, yes, like
Buckner
D
and
Ford. Yeah, with Ford, I have a friend who's an Auburn alum and says, I love D Ford, but he should never have been drafted by the Chiefs in the first place because he was always afraid of that back injury coming back and biting the team in the butt.
Right. They knew about this in college. That's true.
And then with Buckner, you trade a known asset for, the bag of beans and saying, hey,
right.
I'm going to try to flip this into,
right.
The next John Randall. We'll just
kind
of play.
The next DeForest Buckner. How about that?
Yeah, next DeForest Buckner.
Pretty much. Yeah.
To me, most of these trades are a wash anyway. You never know how any of them will go, end up panning out. You got to understand you got to keep trying to improve the team any way you can, but sometimes you're going to win some, you're going to lose some. You might as well take it in stride and say, hey, we were trying to go for it, didn't end up as anticipated, and we're moving on to the next step to improving the team to try to get into their championship.
Totally agree. So, yeah.
So,
what's that shirt? I like that shirt.
Just an Aeropostale shirt.
Oh, nice. That's just classy. Yeah. I like
just a simple shirt. So
simple shirt. Yeah.
How's the new house treating you?
Good. I mean, I'm in the guest room because the downstairs, getting that flooded. But I mean, it didn't flood. But I'm just saying, we're getting that repaired, and then we're getting some repaired in the kitchen. Then getting things repaired. Got to know how things need repaired. So I'm loving it. It's just like training camp starts in 2 weeks, and I'm like, can we get this done now? But you know what I'm saying? It's a marathon, not a sprint, is what I hear.
Yeah. As long as you enjoy the house. Looks like you're getting the garden up to date. So,
man, I mangled that lawn first thing. It just needed a little. It hadn't gotten like really watered in like 3 weeks, and all it needed was a little water. But I never had a lawn growing up, and I'm Jewish, so I don't really have a good sense of how to do anything. Although Jesus was Jewish and he was a carpenter, but that's neither here nor there. And so I inherited some fertilizer. I just threw that all over the grass like around 4:00 in the afternoon when it's good and hot. Just torched it. But I'm trying to bring it back slowly. It's yellow in spots. Other spots where I didn't touch it is green. And those are the good spots. So we'll see.
Does Oakland get a rainy season? That's the last question before I let you go.
It used to. Less and less. But yeah, it used to be March through May. But it's not as much anymore. And that's why all these fires are happening. But anyway, I got to take more calls. It's always a pleasure. Take care. All right, man. See ya. All right, I'm going to take Jay Hutch because he graciously pulled over. Then I got Karan. Then I got Joe. Then I got Spinner M. What's up, Jay Hutch? Thanks for pulling over.
Hey, how's it going?
Good, man. How you doing?
Doing good. Just serving people.
You have surprisingly good service for wherever you are. Looks like you're in the middle of nowhere.
It's just the side of a road before.
Oh, okay, sure.
Yeah.
So what's up?
Not much. I'm just, man, the Niners and the Giants right now, just make a move, do something. Like, that's what's going on. Just do something, make a move, talk about it, say what you're going to do, because it's a soap opera right now, and we, the fans,
doesn't
just want to
it
know
feel like
what's
this
happening.
this Niners team is sort of incomplete? Like, there's another move, a couple of more moves they got to make, and one, I can't even say what their record's going to be until they finish. They're not done.
Honestly, like, I think we would feel better about it if they would just tell us what their plan is,
Yeah.
or like what their feelings are on certain players, or I don't know, maybe just call Trey the starting quarterback, and
That would help.
I think if they did that, I mean, they could have did that 3 months ago, and the state of the fans and the franchise would probably be way better right now.
Right.
Way better. So.
Yes.
I know.
What the Niners are failing to do, like, it's like if you don't tell the fans and the media what the story is, they'll make it up. And you got all these guys with conspiracy theories. Well, maybe this means they don't like Trey. And you know what? Until they say what it means, any theory is valid. So step up and say something.
That's what happened with Deebo, right? I mean,
Yep.
I don't even know what you want to call that crazy roller coaster of just people coming out of the woodwork and people coming out of the boonies just saying whatever the hell they wanted to say about it. You know, I mean, we probably knew most of it was fake news anyway, but the more and more the Niners don't say anything, it's like, is it true? Yeah. Is it not true? Like, what's happening, you know?
Right.
So
agree. Take control of the narrative, John.
Seriously.
Kyle. Yeah.
And for Deebo, like, if he's still unhappy, give him a 1-year deal. Pay him, make him a little happy, then resign him. Like, do a compromise.
I mean, a compromise. He's under contract for another year, and then you can franchise
I know,
tag
but
him.
if he really wants to get paid, and if he still wants to be traded, still requesting a trade, not like, do something to make him happy. Do something to make him happy. That's because you can't let that talent go away. You can't let.
How about a pizza party at Chuck E. Cheese? Bowling night. Bowling's a lot of fun.
Bowling's fun. Yeah, I like bowling.
Hey, man, this is a business. The Niners keep acting like they're a family. They're a family. I don't know about that. It's a business. And I don't know.
I think we all know who that is. That's Prague's filthy hands all over it. You know,
his filthy paws. Prague, sorry, catching strays today, buddy. Big fan of the show.
He's always catching strays. Come on. Like the whole contract situation with like Kittle talking about it with Williams. I mean, it's all Prague. I mean, there's no other question to it, right? Like just how they handle business, how they've handled it for the
He's
past
the constant
20
the last 20 years. He is, yeah.
It's just been. I think it's bad for a big market team, and every year it's the quest for six, like they hammer it down, and it's like it's not really.
But it's more of a marketing slogan. It's like we're on a quest for 6, buy your season tickets. Like you didn't show us that you were on a quest for 6 in free agency. I mean, until Jimmy Garoppolo is gone, you can't tell me you're on a quest for 6. If you have a $27 million backup quarterback, you can't tell me you're on a quest for 6.
I mean,
you're on a quest for a trade partner. That's what you're on.
Here's the thing for me with Jimmy and everything. Like, say you're going to keep him. Say he's going to be the backup. Make Trey the starting quarterback. Just
simple as that.
Boom. Say it. Get it out there. The fans know what's up.
But Jay Hutt, if they do that, then they'll hurt Jimmy's trade value because
if you plan on keeping him anyway, then he's going to walk at the end of the season. So who the fuck cares?
Good point. Hey, Jimmy, guess what? You're our backup quarterback. Enjoy it. Jay Hutch, you need to go serve people some papers.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know if you're a Niner fan, a Giants fan, but Juan Soto rejected a 15-year, $440 million contract. Farhan, go sign him. Get him. Trade him now.
Listen to Jay Hutch before you get served. Jay, good to see you. Peace. Hold on. We got one thing from HaHa saying juxtaposed against the well-run Warriors. That's hard. The Niners and Giants are the Yahoo of Bay Area sports. What did Yahoo do? Yahoo had a good website for a while. They were doing pretty good. What's wrong with Yahoo? Karan.
Hey, what's up?
Chilling. What's up with you?
How's homeowner life? Good?
I like it.
All right. You like it? You either like it or you're like miserable. You're miserable the first 2 or 3 years because you're spending a little bit.
Like, take it in stride. It's not that stressful. Stuff, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. And then don't worry. Like, you'll change the look of the house, in 10 years and seem like a long time. And you're like, remember when we had that? And you're like, that was 10 years ago. And you're like, oh.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. No, it comes in waves. Right. So a couple things. If I think it's pretty much a done deal that Jimmy's going to Seattle. And I think a couple reasons why is I think that you kind of have to look at the optics of it. They've got 2 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks upcoming in the draft, correct, next year. So from a draft capital standpoint, they've got more than enough. And historically, we have seen teams that load up on those draft picks trade some of them away for assets. And Pete Carroll is, I think, either 69 or 72. He's up there in age, right? So you're telling me Pete Carroll is all in on a rebuild at this stage in his life? Probably not. I can't see him doing that piece of it. And here's the other piece of it. If you're the 49ers and Seattle wants him, and they're kind of calling your bluff, why wouldn't you wait if you're the 49ers? Well, what do you have to lose, right? You don't, because you can release him at any time, correct? They clearly don't care about the optics and how it looks, because if they did, they would have released him already. Right. But the fact that they can wait it out and see what Seattle can give them, oh, by the way, might be a 3rd, 4th round pick for anybody else, but Seattle, we're going to have to get a 2nd round pick. If Seattle's
going to say, no, you're just going to cut him. So the Niners wait, and they wait, and they wait, and they wait. And even so they could cut him like right before final cutdown date, and then Seattle brings him in. But now you got Derek Zoolander trying to learn your offense in a week. That's rough.
Well, hey, I also think Seattle is grossly underrated, and I think their running back they drafted is a prime candidate for Rookie of the Year. And I don't think they're going to be as bad as everyone thinks they are. I think they're going to be hovering around 500. Just because if you hand off the ball and you play really good defense, chances are you're going to be in the game until the 4th quarter. They just don't have Russell Wilson to pull them out anymore, right? So they got to either do with the again. They don't have Russell Wilson, so they're not going to win those crazy games that they've been winning the last decade in Seattle. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens, because he was truly that X factor. He just took over the game in the 4th quarter, whether it be his legs or those passes. He got it done for them more often than not. And I think they're going to be in games, and then they're going to fall flat on their face in the 4th quarter, much like the Niners did with, Beathard and a couple other people down in 2000. I think it was like 19 or 18 when they were in almost every single game. And then, 4th quarter hit and they were gone. I think 2020 was like that as well.
Hold on. Do you think that week 2, the Niners home opener at Levi's against Seattle, do you think that's going to be Trey against Jimmy?
Yes.
Wow.
Yes.
Wow. That sounds phenomenal.
I'll be there. I'll fly for that one just for the optics of it. I feel that's homemade popcorn ready. And the other thing I wanted to say was there's been a lot of talk about power rankings, and I want to tell the folks, either on here, for the most part, don't listen to anybody. Go up, look at what Vegas says. Typically, they're the ones making a lot of money. And, I have it up here, Sports Illustrated, the booking, it opened 1,600 for the Niners to win. They're still at 1,600. And rather, the optics of it, they didn't get better or worse this offseason. They stayed the same. I will tell you the biggest.
Hold on. Can we come back to the other thing? Because I'm just blowing my mind on the Seahawks thing. Let's stick with the Seahawks. Do you think that the Seahawks are out of desperation to get Jimmy Garoppolo on their team as soon as possible and in their playbook that they're going to actually trade with the Niners, or they're just going to wait and call
They have the draft capital. You're telling me right now, if you need a starting quarterback and Pete Carroll's like, I can win 7 games with Andrew Luck, don't you think he could probably say I can win 10 games with Jimmy Garoppolo? You don't think Jimmy Garoppolo can do the same thing with DK Metcalf like he can do with Deebo Samuel? I'm asking you. The optics of it. You don't think DK Metcalf can take a 5-yard slant and take it to the house? Of course he can. You don't think Jimmy can do that?
If I were Pete Carroll, I would rather just see what happens with Drew Lock and then draft a quarterback next year than win 10 games with Jimmy Garoppolo and go to the playoffs and let him turn into a pumpkin like he always does and lose.
But remember, Seattle has new ownership, right? They're going to want to do wins. They basically are just like the 49ers when they trade him away. You don't think the Seattle owner is going to be looking over there at Denver to see what their record is and say, hey, you just got rid of a guy who just won 12 games his first year and we're in the toilet? What is that going to do for Pete Carroll and that general manager?
I would think,
right?
though, that when they got rid of Russell Wilson, the owner was like, okay, what's the plan at quarterback? And I'm sure Pete Carroll was like, we're going to trade for Jimmy Garoppolo. No, I'm sure he was like, we're going to draft. The 2023 draft is a great class of quarterbacks. We're going to get freaking whoever. Levis.
I don't even think so. I think Pete Carroll historically has undervalued quarterbacks because he won a Super Bowl with Russ not being the showcase. He was much like Jimmy with the again. I'm not saying Jimmy and Russ. I'm not comparing them. Russ has probably top 5 deep ball thrower I've ever seen in my life in a game and practice. He is amazing. There's no taking away from that. But he does have problems processing, and he takes a lot of sacks. So for all his playmaking ability, they won a Super Bowl with a really good front line and an historic secondary that was amazing. They did not win primarily on Russell Wilson's shoulders. He was 3rd or 4th in the line. The same thing can be said about Jimmy Garoppolo had the 49ers won last year. He was the 4th or 5th reason why, and it was the quick release and the decision making and the non-superlative,
young Russell Wilson was a lot better than any version of Jimmy Garoppolo.
I'm not disagreeing with you, but I would say that secondary in Seattle was much better than anything San Francisco's throwing out.
You know what they do have in common? Jimmy takes a lot of sacks too. So in that sense, he would fit right in.
And Pete Carroll wants to run the ball, and he wants to keep it close until the 4th quarter.
The best hander offer I've ever seen. So I think he does fit in a lot of ways.
And before he got hurt, if you look up the stats, he played much better as the game went on than he did in the beginning. And to Pete Carroll, he can just be like, hey, listen, we can still be in a play. Right. The clutch.
Give me that one big deep throw at the end of the game. Well, Jimmy won't give you that, but he can.
He'll dink it and dunk it, and Pete Carroll will be happy because he can he can protect his offensive line. Here's the other thing: Russell Wilson held the ball an extraordinarily long amount of time, and not many offensive linemen do well with that. Not in this day and age. And like it or not,
used to be, yeah.
No. So in my mind, I think it's going to happen. I think the reason why they're slow-kicking it, maybe I'm a conspiracy theorist. I think they already know there's a plan. I think Jimmy's going to sign off for Seattle for a year, a show-me deal. It's not a ready-win team, but it's not like the Houston Texans. They've got a good front office. They've got good pieces there, right, in the secondary. They're not as good as the defensive line, but in the perimeter, Seattle's good as anybody on both sides of the ball, perimeter-wise. Their wide receivers and their corners, other than like the Rams, they got pretty good perimeter players. And so it's going to be Pete Carroll and them trying to orchestrate that piece of it. It's the 49ers getting a little bit more, and they got to hope they don't get swept. And that's what I think is going to happen. To the second point with the predictions, the 49ers haven't gotten worse or better. They're the exact same. What I'm interested to see is that I'm looking at my screen, the biggest jump were the Philadelphia Eagles in the NFC. They're right behind the 49ers in win-loss and Super Bowl contention, and they were not in the beginning of the season. So Vegas is telling you that Philly is right up there in the echelon of NFC teams, and that's going to be very interesting. Very interesting. People should not be sleeping on. And the 49ers play almost 2/3 of their games against the top 16 teams Vegas thinks is going to go to the Super Bowl or represents the Super Bowl, which is very difficult. Which is going to be very difficult. And they're up there. They're the 4th best team in Vegas's eyes. So are they the 4th best team? Maybe if it breaks certain ways. But they got 2 other teams in the Saints and the Eagles that are right behind them. And those 3 could be, you could match them up anyway the way you want to talk about it.
Cohn, thank you very much. Have a good one. Haha says, Niners slogan, quest for 6th round pick. I think that's pretty apt. That's the slogan for 2022. Sean Weaver says, sorry, Cohn, nobody's trading for Jimmy. Man, if Seattle trades a 3rd round pick for Jimmy Garoppolo, I'm going to laugh my fucking ass off. I'm going to LMFAO. Literally. So I hope they do, because I like laughing. And I like laughing at the Seahawks, because there's something about them. What's up, man?
Hey, how's it going, Grant?
Gammon, you're next. I saw that look on your face. I promise. What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing great. Well, sort of. We still have Garoppolo on our team, so I can't be doing that good. But I,
Sorry.
it's just that, dude.
It's hard to get
Interceptolo,
excited about the season when he's still here, right?
yeah, Interceptolo has been that
Ooh!
since he's gotten injured. I mean, that's all he is. He's
Yeah.
a quarterback that can only throw across the middle. He
Yeah.
can't throw deep. He can't
No.
throw to the sidelines.
No.
It's like
Can't move. Can't extend the play. Can't read defenses.
Nobody's going to trade for this guy. Why would they? I wouldn't. If I was a head coach, if I was a GM, there's no way I'd trade
Only
for him.
way you would trade for someone like Jimmy Garoppolo is if you're so desperate that, like, you think he's gonna, like, just getting to the playoffs.
If
will
your
save
quarterback
your job.
just went down,
Like, yeah, like I have to make the playoffs this year to save my job. I think Kyle may have felt that a little bit last year, considering he had so many losing seasons. So Jimmy had a purpose. But if you think you're gonna win a Super Bowl with Jimmy, like, or he's gonna, I mean, it's not gonna happen. So why don't you
Never
just
in a million.
develop someone? Yeah.
Never in a million.
Never in a million.
Parag is doing a absolute poor job. I can't see how he could keep Jimmy on the team at all. It just doesn't make sense. That's $25 million we could have used, or we could use next year on players.
Right.
On
You could use it this year. You could roll it over to next year. Using it on Jimmy is the worst option.
If they do anything with Jimmy, they should trade for a player. Screw a draft choice. Get a player.
Right, because the draft choice is going to be a 6th-round pick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If that.
Yeah.
You may be getting 252.
Right. Or it could be like a 6th-round pick swap. You give me one, I'll give you your
Yeah.
One back. Yeah.
Yeah. By the way, there's no way in the world you can follow what is it, Little Niner? No way.
I didn't see that coming.
Good, man.
I had no idea. He was emailing me all week telling me that, like, he had a little guy who wanted to call him. I thought it was gonna be a kid. Little did I know it was the toughest dude from Sesame Street. I never saw
that was pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Anyways, just wanted to put those 2 cents in there. You have a great one, dude.
You too, man.
Congrats on the house.
Thank you very much.
Hopefully it doesn't take you under. It's not one of those in the
I don't
movie there.
Nah, it'll be fine.
The money pit.
Work to do. There's some other houses we were looking at that needed like hundreds of thousands of dollars of repairs. Like, we're good. It's nothing serious.
Awesome. Awesome.
Thanks, man.
All right. Say hello to your dad. Your dad's so awesome.
I will.
I've listened to him for years and years. It's just, he's amazing, and he still is. So
I agree. I'll tell him you said that. I'm sure he's watching. I made his day. Thank you. See you later.
Sure.
All right, Gammon. What's going on, Gammon?
Hey, it's going pretty good. Oh, it's all right. I know why you're apologizing, Grant.
You seem like you got something to say today. I've been looking at your face. You seem like you got something to say.
I've been listening to the people come on, and the angles that they're taking, I can follow their path of logic, and it makes sense. But the truth of the matter of fact is that we're talking about, this is mid-season Jimmy. A couple, and I get the frustration of my fellow fans, because that's why I'm not a journalist like you are, or some of the other guys that I see out here podcasting. But Jimmy, we may as well title it mid-season Jimmy, because I do think that he's going to be traded during the mid-season. I think you had really just an eye-opening interview with the Buccaneers, the guy who covers the Buccaneers, and he's basically, what he alluded to and what it sounds like is like Jimmy's not going to be ready by week 1 or week 2. So when you popped that question of like, do you think week 2 we'll be seeing Jimmy playing against the Seahawks? I mean, even if he's traded the Seahawks, it doesn't sound like Jimmy's going to be ready by week 2. The other thing too is Jimmy is going to be worth a 3rd-round pick. And I know that what I'm saying right now is probably nothing that the 49ers fans want to hear, but he's not going to be cut. We're asking for transparency from the 49ers front office. And sometimes I feel like they're a little too transparent, even up to a fault.
They've already said what they're going to do here, right? We're not going to cut him. We're not going to cut him. We're not going to cut him.
Yeah. And people are going like, oh, they're not being serious.
Yeah.
They are going to do this or do that. They're just not. No, they're dead serious. Last season, nobody wanted to take them seriously, right? That's the big thing. You either accept the truth of the reality of what they're saying, or you just miss it. But that's on you. But I was shocked by how honest they were last season when they said, like, no, Jimmy is our starter. We're prepared to sit Trey Lance back there. And everyone just laughed and was like, there's no way that an organization can move all this capital and just sacrifice that just to put it back on the. Listen, they've kind of felt like they've hit the point of no return. Like, they've gone so far. And right now, you kind of think of it like the housing market. If they sell on Jimmy right now, they're going to get the lowest amount of return that they can get for him. Mid-season trade, they're right now the 49ers' best bet is that they hope. Well, I shouldn't say hope. Nobody hopes for a player to be injured, but this is the way I'd like to frame it. There's 32 starting NFL quarterbacks in the NFL right now. I am of the belief that there really aren't 32 NFL starters. Agree with me or don't agree with me, but Jimmy Garoppolo is a starting caliber quarterback. There's going to be some team that in the middle of the season that's making a playoff push or run that we didn't think were going to make it. There's going to be another team that we thought was going to be in the midst of a playoff run that isn't. One of those teams that's going to be one of those surprise teams that makes it is going to be a team that we trade to. I disagree that the Seahawks, because of Pete Carroll's age, need to make an absolute push for it this year, or else they just would have mortgaged their future with their draft picks, right? These things those stories would have already told themselves. What I think is that they're A-okay with sitting back for one more year. Let me go backwards. I think that, and here's another thing that people may not agree with or want to admit to themselves, but I think the Seahawks had the best draft out of the entire NFC West. I just was like, man, I'm glad they didn't have this kind of draft when Russell Wilson was still there. What they're doing is, yeah, sure, let's say they're looking at the Denver Broncos, but kind of similarly to what the 49ers were doing back before they got Jimmy Garoppolo, is you have to do one of two things. Either you draft and you get that quarterback, and then you bring in free agents and build a team around them, or you build a team in hopes of landing a big name quarterback, just like what the Broncos did and so on and so forth. So I think Pete Carroll, it's not like he has a death certificate, already given with his birth certificate. I think he's okay with waiting 1 year,
right,
seeing what's available in free agency and trade. And
right,
like
he could draft a quarterback. He could trade for I mean, there's going to be a whole bunch of guys available. He could get a former number one pick. Who knows?
Yeah, and I do think that this is right now the 49ers year to win the division. A lot of teams I really feel like have taken a step backwards. I think that the 49ers defense has taken a step forwards. I mean, we did so well in 2019 because of the defensive line. This defensive line has just gotten hungrier, bigger, and better. I mean, heck, their defensive line is just so hungry. They're even calling into talk shows now and again. But this is
while eating. That's how hungry they are.
That is the epitome of hunger. So when I look at all those things too, and the reason why I say Jimmy's no matter what is going to be with third round pick is, and why I'm calling this and labeling this mid-season Jimmy, is that if Jimmy stays on the team all season long, they get nothing if they release it and another team signs him. If he stays on the team and at the end of the season,
comp pick,
his contract is up, someone else signs him, the third round pick. So I have to think somewhere in Prague's algorithm, right? He's going like no matter what, the default is that he's worth a third round pick. And I'm looking at everything, the way that everything is falling is like, yeah, the 49ers schedule is hard, but the teams in the NFC West are really, I really do think that this is the 49ers year for better or for worse on that.
Well, you're calling it right now, mid-season trade, Jimmy Garoppolo for a third. It could happen. Gambit, thanks for calling in.
Cool.
All right, later. Oh, hold on. So we got Tyler's next. Bryant, you were after Tyler. I want tell your dad to pull over though, even though I know you're not driving because you're 7 or maybe 9. But tell him to pull over and just out of safety. And then Ben Meyerson, Swanee D, and the Ramelia Sports Report, and then that's it. That's that. Tyler Drake.
How's it going, Grant?
The Tyler Drake, in case you were fucking wondering, man. How
the
you doing?
Tyler Drake. Got to put it in front of it. So I got a question for you. I'm gonna throw you a question. It's a little bit of a curveball. So I don't think any people have really been on the show that's really asked this question that I've seen. Unfortunately, I am a Jimmy fan. I like Jimmy Garoppolo.
All right.
I want you to explain to me. I have a love-hate relationship with Jimmy Garoppolo. Like I love him as a person, but every time I watch the 49ers play when he's on the field, it makes me not want to watch the game. It's like anxiety. Like you feel like when's it going to happen next?
Because you've seen it before. You've seen this. You've seen this before. The thing with Jimmy to me is like when he first started playing, he was really successful. But I don't think he's ever improved. I don't think he's ever expanded his game. And if like what Harbaugh would say, if you're not getting better, you're getting worse. If you stay exactly the same, the league sees you more. And the scouting report every week gets more sophisticated. And now, I mean, the book is out on him. He doesn't throw deep. He doesn't throw outside the numbers. He doesn't extend plays. If you just, defend that middle area of the field, he's going to give you 1 or 2 opportunities every game.
That's all he does. That's all he does is just the same slant move every single time.
So if my question could do something different and add something to his game, it would change things. But he has, and that's the same way I feel about Lamar too. Everyone like Lamar's efficiency has dropped 3 years in a row, and I was like, I'm wondering, dude, is the league catching up to you? Are you gonna do something different, or is it the coach's fault? I don't know. Maybe it's the coach's fault in San Francisco. Maybe Jimmy's gonna go somewhere and flourish.
I don't know. But my question to you is, and I don't know if this is something that you can answer, but explain to me why people like me, because I don't even understand it, why some fans like Jimmy despite what he does.
Winning's fun. I mean, period. Winning's good. And I think also a certain amount of fans want a quarterback to look a certain way. And Jimmy, I don't know what that is, but it's like, it's not just like Caucasian. It's like you sort of need to look like Clark Kent. Like Jared Goff doesn't look like Jared Goff's kind of not so good looking, but Jimmy just has this superhero, all-American, Captain America face. He just kind of looks right. And, he's got the quick release. He was in New England. If you really, really squint your eyes, you might see Tom Brady Jr., even though when you actually
a younger Tom Brady,
he's not Tom Brady Jr.
Yeah. And when Trey Lance plays, it's bets off. It's fun to watch him play. Yeah. Same with Kaepernick. I love watching Kaepernick play. Yeah. Alex Smith to an extent, but just the different play styles that they have.
Yeah.
I hate watching Jimmy play. Like I knew in the fourth quarter last year, I was like, oh, this is it. I knew every play that he did. It was like, and I could see Trey Lance on the sideline just watching the entire game, and I was like, switch him, so do something with him, please. But no, for me, I love Jimmy, but I agree that he needs to kind of get out the door. As much as it pains me, I've watched him, because I'm younger, so I grew up with Jimmy for most of my time being a 49er fan. So to see him go is kind of like I don't want to say a breakup, like you're losing a friend, you're losing a colleague or something like that. So that's all I got for you, Grant. So thank you for having me on.
All right, the Tyler Drake. That was a great call. Call in anytime. All right. We got Bryant Culp up next. Although I don't think, what's your name?
Lily. Hi,
Lily.
Grant.
Hi, nice to meet you.
I just wanted to say it's July 16th, and Jimmy Garoppolo is still on the 49ers.
That's right. Well done. What's up, Bryant?
Hey, Grant. Yeah, I had to let her say it. She's been saying it every time you come on the house.
You nailed it. Great job.
Hey, so yeah, I definitely think that Jimmy Garoppolo needs to leave. That's clear. If they do keep him as a backup, he's got to have a restructured contract because 27 is too much. I wouldn't be opposed to that, but I don't want to pay 27 for him. And yeah, that's just, I think he's on his way out. And the other thing, I think if he didn't have the injury problems that he has, he probably wouldn't be leaving. But that's the biggest problem I think with him is his injuries. And then he can't throw downfield, but that's because he was injured, right? And then the other thing I wanted to say is I had messaged you a couple times. I know I joke a little bit, but Robbie Gould, I found an article. He is the top 9th out of the top 10 kickers. He's ranked 9th by CBS. And I think that's pretty good. I'd love to see you do a top 10 kicker list or a top 32.
I would take a little research and homework.
But I was reading that article and they said that the top 4 kickers are all out of the AFC North. So I thought that was interesting. Maybe kicking in the snow, you know, get a little bit
Maybe.
more. I don't know.
Maybe it's more of a premium on kickers up there. You need a good one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think you know, if our special teams does better than last year, I think we got a really good shot. Because I think, you know, even Jimmy's limitations, I think the special teams through the year cost us games. And if we could get like a kick return or a punt return, that's going to help. I'm looking forward to McLeod coming in. I'm just excited about the season, really. And every day I keep looking because I have a bet too going on. I have a Subway bet. So if Jimmy leaves, I owe somebody a sandwich. But if he stays, I'm gonna go dip. I'm going to Subway.
High stakes. High stakes. Well,
Hey,
look,
you have a great day.
you
Tell
have
your
a great
dad
day
hi,
with Lily as well. Tell Lily
and
she did a great job.
I will. Thank you, Grant. You have a great day.
Take care. Ben Meyerson, then Swanee D, then the Ramilia Sports Report, then Irvin. Then that's the end of the show. What's up, Ben?
You got me,
Big
Grant?
Ben. What's up? What?
You got me?
I got you.
Cool. Yeah. How you doing, man?
I'm chilling, man. How you doing?
I'm doing well, you know. Just still, gosh, it's crazy to think back, you know, when I was first coming on your show like last year, you know, talking about Jimmy Garoppolo after the trade went down. I remember you and I would always go back and forth like, oh, I kept saying, they're going to cut him, they're going to cut him, they're going to cut him.
Well,
and here we are, 16 months later. And
no one wants him. No one wants him.
No one wants
Apparently,
him.
except for the Seattle. I feel like teams might want him if he was a free agent, but trading for him.
I mean,
no.
Grant, I think there's only like, I was just looking at cap space right now in the NFL. There's only one team who can take on his entire contract, and that's the Browns.
Browns.
So,
yeah.
you know,
So, right. Yeah.
But it's so funny because I was looking more at salary cap.
Do you think the Niners would pay for some of that salary if they get a 3rd round pick?
Yeah, that's what I was about to discuss, actually. That's what I was about to get into. Okay, so there's not as many teams who even have like 15 million or more cap space. So really, if you're trading Jimmy, probably going to have to take back the majority of his deal if you're the 49ers right now. You're probably going to have to send 10 million the other way with Jimmy-ish, right? And then hope you get a 3rd round pick back. Mm-hmm. But that kind of like it gets me to the problem of this team, Grant. I've been thinking about asking you this question for a while. Okay, if you were Jed York, right? If Denise and John called you up and they appointed you, they said, Grant, you can do whatever you want.
We've been watching your videos. We really think you got
right
vision
like,
for this team. Yeah,
we like the way you think about things. You know, what is the first move you would make? Because I think there's a pretty first obvious move. And when I say move, Grant, it can be personnel, it can be front office, it can be anyone, anywhere.
I don't think I would reassign Parag. He would no longer be in charge of all the things that he's in charge of at all. I
would send Parag to Youngstown, actually. Just get him out. Get him out.
He could go work on Leeds United or something like that. But here, we don't need you anymore. Thank you for your service. And I would make sure the team did something with Jimmy Garoppolo. Like, guys, we can no longer be in like wait and see mode. Let's a little urgency here. We're in a Super Bowl window now.
It goes back to Parag, though, right? Because it's ultimately a Parag issue. He's the one who has this contract set up where they can get rid of Jimmy. No financial, you know, casualties. They can just clear him right off the books. Besides, like $1.5 million, and Parag is the one who signed that deal. Yet he's not willing to execute it, or even, you know, he may not have the power to execute it. Right. So I guess, you know, if you could get rid of anyone, like I was saying, Parag, I think is the obvious candidate, because if you look at the way they've been doing all their deals, Grant, they set all their deals up this way. They set all their deals up the same way, where it's minimal money in the beginning, and then over time that increases and increases, and then they have the ability to get out from underneath those numbers. And basically, the only real use they've actually had for those type of contracts is when players are completely, you know, gonna retire, are so hurt they're done from the league. Guys who literally can't be in football anymore. I mean, even a guy like D Ford, right, whose contract isn't set up that way either, he's still on the team right now. So I think if you look at what the rest of the league is doing right now, and we've discussed this before, but I mean, Parag to me is the number one issue with this franchise, because if you can't figure out the financial benefits of having a QB like Trey Lance, having him be the 3rd overall pick, you know, it's detrimental to your team. Right now, they're 3rd highest paid in terms of quarterback
Hold on, though, but I just want to say, like, it's not all Parag. It's Jed too. Because if Jed were more forceful, if Jed were like Eddie, and if I were in his position, I would be telling John and Kyle, who are my subordinates, I run this team, guys, I want to go for it. I want to go for it now. So I know you guys want to wait a year. No, we're not doing that. Get rid of Jimmy. John, you got to take the loss on that. I don't care. I'm not going to fire you if you cut Jimmy Garoppolo. I'm not going to hold it against you. Move on. We were in the NFC Championship game last year. Do something. That's what I would say. That would be how the meeting in my brain.
And I think the main thing, Grant, and I heard you talk about this. I know we've talked about it before, and I saw you talking about it recently, but it's more they aren't having conviction, right, with their decision to go up and get Trey Lance. Yeah. In the first place, they didn't even decide who they were going to draft before they went ahead and made that trade. Then when they went ahead and made the pick, and they could have had the opportunity to trade Jimmy to the Patriots or offload him in any other way when they could get more value than that third-round pick, which is the ultimate value, apparently. Like they didn't do it, which to me is obviously there were complications with last season, right? Trey's finger got hurt. A lot of stuff happened to where it was probably right to have Jimmy start the whole season because you didn't want to put Trey in those circumstances. And honestly, by the end of the season, when Trey Lance started that Texans game, do you really want him going into the playoffs, having all that pressure underneath him and not having all that game experience where,
right. Well, because again, if he loses, everyone's like, well, Jimmy would have won. Jimmy would have won. Right?
Jimmy's a winner. Yeah. Jimmy's a winner.
Yeah.
So I don't know, man. This whole Trey Lance Jimmy thing, like we've had the answer from the beginning. It's more the team's unwillingness to have conviction in their own decision making. So that's super frustrating. But then also, Grant, like the third round pick that the last caller was just talking about, and I do think there is a lot of truth to like the fact that they're not going to settle for anything less than that because that's the minimum value, right? That pick is like the 105th overall pick next year, right? It's like Danny Gray, essentially, right? I mean,
it's Ambry Thomas.
Exactly.
Sweet. That's what at the end of this, they're going to get the 100th pick in the draft and be like, that's a successful offseason. That's how we do it here in Santa Clara.
Well, and you know what they're going to do, Grant? They're going to be like, hey, look at all the picks we have now. We have a second round pick. We have 2 third-round picks.
No first round pick. No first round pick.
No. But we replaced that value. We spent $27 million on a third round compensatory pick because that's totally worth it.
That's how we do. Ben, I got to take a couple more calls before the end because my stomach is killing me, man. That's too much information. But good to see you, Ben. I'm trying to at the buzzer. Swanee, you better make this good. What's up, man?
How's it going, Grant?
This is so terrifying.
Okay. So I think, what if Seattle's stringing along the 49ers to make them feel that they have something for Jimmy, and then they prolong this whole thing and actually keep him because they keep on thinking they got something for him?
That's a good point, Eddie DeBartolo. I hadn't thought of that. Yeah, they could be playing 4D chess here.
If one of my daughters was into football, I wouldn't have to worry about, my sister and her son wrecking my team. Grant?
I'm so mesmerized right now, man. I never thought I'd be able to talk to 45-year-old Eddie DeBartolo, but here we are, man. Wow.
And, I saw a tweet, I think you talked about it as well as RG3 ranking the top 5 quarterbacks he would start a franchise with. I mean, instantly you see, what's that cat's name on the Ravens? The Ravens QB.
Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, Lamar Jackson. And you're thinking, why would he pick Lamar and not like Josh Allen or Patrick Mahomes? And I think what he's trying to get at is that Lamar doesn't need anyone. Like if you don't have anything on your team, not even an offensive line, he could still operate, right? Where I think with Mahomes and Josh Allen, if you don't have an offensive line, they can't operate as much, right? Not saying that Lamar Jackson can have trash offensive linemen, but you're less dependent on anyone else because you're kind of like a one-man show, right? This ties me into Seattle. I think, okay, to start a franchise, I think the quick and easy way to start a franchise, get a D, right, first, and then like a cheap way, right? Don't get a great quarterback first because it's like you're putting in a lot of money at one position that depends on your team to be good, right? So build the thing around and then get a QB, right? Kind of like the 49ers way of thinking, but instead we bought an expensive mediocre QB. But okay, whatever. Let's not get into that. But so like it doesn't make sense for Seattle to get Jimmy. Like all that does is I think they want to restart their roster, right? Sure. Like look, Pete Carroll's done it already, right? He knows the formula, right? Get D, then get a talented QB that could move, and then go from there. He's already done it. And even if he retires before it's done, but he builds out that team, that will help his legacy, right? Like, hey, I left you. I didn't go all out. I left you guys with something that you could build with, work with, and go from there, right? I don't see Seattle going for Jimmy. I think their whole thing is they're just stringing along the 49ers to make them think they have something in Jimmy. I think the only spot that Jimmy can possibly land now is at week 1, meaning before week 1, is with the Browns. If Deshaun Watson gets a year suspension, right? If it's only be 5 or 6 weeks, then they'll probably stay with what they got and go from there. And maybe the Niners, I don't see them stupid enough to keep Jimmy, but maybe they could, like what Gammon was saying, like they get that 3rd round compensatory pick, but then they also get a hedge. So they have 2 things. It's not just for a 3rd rounder, it's a hedge and this 3rd rounder, right? That to me is, I don't know, that is just such an LDE move. But I hope it doesn't go that way.
We'll see, man. Thank you for calling in, Eddie DeBartolo. It's a pleasure.
Thanks, Pat.
Later, man. Swanee D. All right, last call of the day, and then I got to go to the bathroom. Sorry, that's too much information. My stomach.
God bless you, Grant.
How you doing,
God
man?
bless you, brother. Good. So here we are again. Jimmy Garoppolo's still there. They got rid of Joe Montana. Here's a franchise that got rid of Joe Montana easier than Jimmy Garoppolo. Isn't that amazing?
Yes.
Because Kyle can't get off the pot, and he's afraid that Jimmy G's his safety net. Amazing.
Yeah.
I just wanted to pop in and give you my love, brother. Keep the grind. I see all those videos. I love it. And the thing that I love about you is you got your opinions and you stick by it. And the only thing that I have an issue with you is the Trey Lance thing. The guy has a lot of potential. He looks very coachable, but he's a practice legend at this point because, in limited time, he's gotten hurt twice. And here you have 13 seasoned old veterans. Matthew Stafford, the only NFC West quarterback that was still standing at the end of the year, won the chip. And all the other NFC West quarterbacks got hurt. So we'll see with Trey Lance, young guy, but he got hurt twice. Is that a red flag in your opinion that he's already gotten hurt twice in limited action?
It's not good.
It's
not good.
They're getting rid of.
The first one though, like to me, was almost the Niners' fault. You were playing him at the end of the preseason, at the end of the first half, behind like an offensive line full of guys who didn't make the team. Like, what do you expect to happen? You were sort of playing with fire on that one. Then the other one, he got hurt in his first start playing like Tim Tebow because I guess they didn't feel comfortable having him throw that much because his finger was broken. So I don't know. I don't know if he's going to get hurt a lot. We'll see. Like Wentz did, and they went to the same school, and neither one slides. So we'll see.
And Grant, I got to give you props because you've been a kinder, gentler guy towards Kyle Shanahan. I'm surprised you didn't say, "Hey, Kyle, was Trey Lance healthy in that NFC Championship game? Did you have any plays that you could have used possibly when you needed to keep the ball rolling and get some scores?" He was sitting on the field watching when you could have put. Imagine the Rams defense eyes looking when you see a Trey Lance with a surprise play coming in motion or whatever, and Jimmy G's out there as well. I mean, there's no bags of tricks from the offensive guru. At this point, that's all Kyle Shanahan is, an offensive guru who can't seem to win the big game. I mean, the Niners are 42-56 in his tenure, and it's amazing that Niner fans still believe in these guys. Oh, well, Kyle has a plan. John Lynch has a plan. Amazing. They still believe in these guys. 6 years into their tenure, and they still have a losing record. Sean McVay can lose 17 straight games and still have a better record than Kyle Shanahan. Isn't that amazing? But I just wanted to give you some love, brother. I appreciate everything you do. I know you got to go, but I just want to remind Niner fans in the chat, here we are, worry-free. Maybe OBJ's back, maybe he's not. Stan Kroenke just paid $175 million for a 13-acre building in Woodland Hills. He owns the whole block, 65 acres, to build us a new facility. We're living large, Grant. It's amazing. Keep up the good work, my brother. Thank you for letting me come in. I just wanted to come in and give you your props, brother. And this guy here, Matthew Stafford, is not getting the respect he owes because imagine this, Grant. We believe as Ram fans, and the management believes that we're a year early. We thought we were going to really arrive the next year because we thought we were going to struggle in the first year with Stafford, and we ended up winning the chip despite all these injuries that we had. So we think that we came in a year early. So we're not going anywhere. So I can't wait till this season starts, brother. Appreciate it. I'll let you go, my brother. Much love, and I tip my cap to you, my brother.
All right, have a great one, man. Take care.
You too. You too.
All right, last one, then I gotta go. Irvin, man, I seen you coming in and out. What's up? You're muted.
My bad, bro. Sorry about that. I was taking care of some stuff at work, man.
Good.
It's like everyone in and out. But bro, just had to come on here real quick, man. Couple weeks ago, after one of your last videos, there was a part that we talked about, and then a couple guys, I guess, saw it. They've been following us. We built up a little fan base from some of the commentary that we've had. So they some of your haters that for some reason don't like you but watch you religiously. They had some comments about it. They were hating a little bit. I'm like, hey, man, it is what it is, man. I'm just an objective fan. I'm sorry. I'm not a homer.
Yeah.
Is that what you want me to be? Sorry. But just to answer your question, man, it's been past time. It's definitely time for the Niners to do something. And you can pretty much see that the front office also agrees with that take. If you look at what happened with the coaching staff over the offseason, I mean, they pretty much got rid of everybody except the head coach and the D coordinator. Brought in Anthony Lynn. So I would definitely say there's some pressure there, to say the least. So I mean, just to answer your question again, it's definitely time for the Niners to do something, and I mean something like win the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I would think so. I mean, stop. How many Quest for 6? You're right there. You're on the footsteps of Mordor, and you're like, you know what? Let's just go back. Let's try it next year. We're right here, but it's a big mountain. I don't want to do. I'm tired.
Tired. That's it.
Tired. Next year, bail. All right, bail. Hey, man, thanks for coming on, man.
Appreciate you, bro.
Of course.
Have a good one, man.
Later. That's the show. Thanks for watching. I'll be back when you least expect it. See ya.